Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. There is no curve which ships disappear down. We can show how this works at any scale, on any level. I found a flat surface, a children's playground, and we will see when I zoom in that we have a band of convergence just about at eye level. You can see there the colors from the floor being thrown up into the air and creating this band of mirroring. And we see the surface there with the white line. That is where objects remain when they go off into the distance and as they get smaller, but the bottom half of objects going off into the distance becomes reflected and distorted and blended in to this band of mirroring or convergence. We can clearly see here in the background the yellow and the blue and the grass being mirrored. And as someone steps into the shot there, you can see the toes being mirrored in that band below the eye level. In the distance is a lighter, and we will see how this mirroring effect gradually cuts off the bottom. There you go. In that band of mirroring and convergence, the lighter, the bottom of the lighter is cut off, even though it is still standing on the surface, represented by the white line there. We'll see that disappear, fade in and out. On a flat surface, without going down any curve whatsoever. Here the lighter fell on the ground, but we can see again how it is being reflected. You can see how it is lying, and it's lying on the white line surface there, but the bottom half is actually reflection. And as this fluctuates, and this here we see the bottom of the lighter completely disappear, and the color from the tin behind being reflected as well. That tin has a colored top, and that is what is being reflected in the band beneath it. So you can see how there's a lot of interference going on, and everything starts to become one, and when it tips over we can see again that it's being reflected and distorted. The reflection is being distorted. Looking another direction now. And we can see the band of convergence flickering into play, in and out, just as we see the bottoms of ships disappearing as they go off into the distance. Again, just showing you where the mirroring is starting with the red line and going down to the white line, and the white line is the surface on which the lighter is actually standing. Hasn't gone down a curve, but the bottom is being cut off. And you'll see here now that this tin will completely disappear. I'm going to play that back in slow motion and pause it. The tin drops and it disappears. It just disappears like a ship does when it goes off into the distance, into beyond the band of convergence.
Because my legs are really tired.
Yeah. And here we see, again, over a completely flat, level surface, the children's feet apparently disappearing. I'm playing that back in slow motion now. You can see how that band above the surface is distorting, hiding, and making it look as if they are behind some kind of curve. It's not the case. You can see here, you look at the child's foot, you can see this distortion going on. Just above the surface. It's everywhere. It's always there. And just like to compare what we've just seen with ships going off into the distance. I'll put a link to this great video in the description. We can see here a ship going off into the distance, and it is already being mirrored. The bottom part of the ship is already being mirrored there. So there is where we have the band of mirroring is hiding the bottom of the boat, and you can see it clearly with the other boat as it comes past, and that is mirrored, but the actual body of the boat is going down to the surface as normal. Of course the line doesn't, but there you go, the line is pretty much on the mirroring level there. So the boat's still there, it's still on the surface, going off, it hasn't gone down anywhere. But the bottom part of it is now being distorted. You can see the reflection very clearly there, going on at the back of the boat. And of course, as it gets further and further away, then it is getting smaller, and of course that mast is getting closer and closer to the horizon. And we see very clearly that band of convergence, distortion, mirroring above the more clearly defined surface. And it is exactly what we see looking over a level plane at any height, from ground level upwards. We just see further across the flat plane when we rise up. Now this is a little later on. You can see that there's a lot more distortion, so the shadow or the reflection is becoming more elongated. The top still looks pretty good, but it starts to kind of stretch as it gets down to the bottom. But as we know, the bottom of the ship is actually on the surface there. And now that's a little further, and we're getting a lot of distortion. And again, we've got that mirroring quite clearly seen at about halfway across that block of the ship. The mast is still quite clear, but as the rest of the boat gets smaller and goes into that line of convergence, it just simply becomes one with everything else that's converging: the air, the sea, at that point. And a little further out, we can see, frozen it there for a little bit, that it really is becoming very, very distorted now, and we're starting to get more sky overland boat reflected back at us from our perspective. It hasn't gone anywhere, hasn't gone down anywhere. It's simply fading into obscurity. And we can see there comparison with the boat nearby, and as the main body of the boat gets small, appears small enough to become part of the band of convergence, we are just left with the mast. Of course, this is what makes people think that the entire ship has gone down beneath that hard edge horizon. No, just showing the line there to show that that's still mirroring going on, and we are just seeing the top of the ship as the rest has been swallowed up in that band of convergence. Thank you very much.